这来，萌萌，萌萌。
If they feel hungry, they will. If they will angry, they will.
就这种声音，意思就是，哎，我喜欢你。还有的声音就是像小熊猫在玩耍的时候，或者是它，你比如说看两只小熊猫在玩耍哈，一只很强壮，一只不强壮，小的被大的欺负了，小的就会发出求饶的声音，就是我不来了，我不来了，算了算了，我不和你打了，我打不过你，我错了，这种声音哈，就是这样的。就这样，就是它求饶的意思。
This little bundle of joy would have no chance of surviving in the wild. Mother pandas can only rear one cub at a time, but usually give birth to two. Every year, China puts a lot of effort into making up for this cruel mistake of nature. If two cubs are born, then two must survive.
今天第3天，这4天嘛。
Endangered species don't have to become extinct, not if you take good enough care of them. Mr. Darwin's theories don't all hold good here.
跑太快。
Newborn pandas weigh just 120 grams.
他上妈妈去了，说你瘦你还是肥。
Here in captivity, the cubs are reared by staff at the Panda breeding centre. In the wild, it's the mother who takes care of the young. She just swallows anything the cub wants to get rid of. These might well be the most helpless little ones in the world, as well as the most endearing, and quite probably the most expensive. The panda is China's national treasure. Even its colouring is a living symbol of the past, an allusion to the home country, where yin and yang are balanced opposites. Black and white, light and dark, day and night, sun and moon, sky and earth, heat and cold. When a cub is born, it becomes the property of the People's Republic of China. There's no getting around that law, but zoos can rent pandas from the state for a limited period. It's not cheap, though. They have to pay over $1 million a year to the government. This is one national treasure that's guarded like the most priceless of jewels. They may be predisposed to laziness, but pandas still wake up early. That means their keepers have to as well. For Zhang Yu and Zhou Jingpeng, work at the Panda Centre starts at 6 a.m.
我现在的话，我照顾了7个这个1岁左右的宝宝，也就是去年出生的宝宝，然后和他们的4个妈妈，就这样。然后，如果明年的话，因为今年出生的这个熊猫相对来讲比较多一点，可能明年等他们再大一点，然后我可能任务比较繁重一点。但是具体有多少个，这个不太好说。
The human beings, the babies can drink this, and this one is I don't know how to spell, but this is for dog and the little pets. Yeah, the 1-year-old baby panda, we can use this one to mix the milk and make them strong.
然后这个水温呢，必须烧开的鲜开水100度，然后再将它冷却到差不多30-40度的时候，冲了温开水，这个时候再给小熊猫食用，这是最适宜的时间和温度。
如果它长得好，那么我们适当的，我们还会跟它增加一些奶量。然后幼年的宝宝的话，会在2岁左右就断奶了。
再亲一下你，再来，猫狗来分。 115。就大熊猫之后，大熊猫和人类的情感，我觉得这就是人与动物之间的一种情感，也是人与自然的一种怎么说呢，神奇的天作之合。因为我们中国有句古话就是360行，行行出状元嘛哈。既然我选择了它，就要用心去对待。如果说我不选择它的话，如果我不用心对待的话，就何必不用选择它？一旦选择它了，我就要用我的真心去对待。因为做一天就好好的做，这就是我由衷的一种想法。各位这哈，没天了，乖乖。要应聘到熊猫基地来当饲养员哈，符合的哈，像什么动物科学、畜牧兽医或者是什么宠物哈，反正就是和动物挂钩和生物挂钩的就可以进来。如果说是其他专业的，就一律不能进来。
China's panda breeding has become something of a production line. It's almost as though they've been copied, 3D printed, and put on show for the public. The Chengdu Panda Breeding Centre isn't just a first-rate laboratory. It's also a zoo, where anyone can go to see the fruits of China's breeding program for a mere 58 won. That's around $10.
所以基本上我们这么多年的下来过后，这些问题基本上都没多大问题了。我们现在就是说我们的所有个体在170多只。
Several cubs are born here each year. In 2016, the panda was removed from the Red Book. Officially, it's no longer an endangered species, but it is still vulnerable. Building up the population is just the first step. The toughest challenge for the breeders is still ahead.
包括现在我们已经有2只放到野外去了，所以说放到野外，它能够跟野外的个体进行交配繁殖后代，这个就是意味着野放成功。
However, years, maybe even decades of work are needed to make that possible.
大熊猫吃的多，然后又懒，躺在床上不动。然后中国人反而是吃的比较少，但是天天勤奋工作。你认为为什么大熊猫成为中国的小猫
？Because the giant panda is only China has. Yeah.
那么在历史上呢，大熊猫的分布是比较广泛的，它分布在中国、老挝、越南以及缅甸、泰国等等地方都有分布。但是到了现在，就只有在中国的西南和西部地区，在6大山系有分布。那么尽管我们说大熊猫的保护取得了成效，它的种群数量也在不断的增加，但是呢，仍然有很多威胁的因素。
The high cub mortality rate is just one of them.
一些盗猎行为，比如说大家喜欢它的熊骨啊、熊掌啊那些，还有它的皮毛等等。另外一个 threat 就是它的 diet， 就是它的食物。大家知道哈，大熊猫的祖先它们都是吃肉的，它是在大概200万年之前才慢慢的开始吃竹子。有科学家认为这是大熊猫就是停止吃肉，然后吃竹子的一个原因，因为它们的这个基因变成了一个假基因，它们不再觉得肉好吃了。
Because bamboo is such a low-calorie food, to get the nourishment they need, pandas spend half their lives eating bamboo and the other half digesting it. You really have to love pandas to do this from morning till night. The animal produces up to 20 kilos of droppings every day.
就是因为熊猫它的粪便哈，像吃竹子的时候，它的粪便是清香的， 因为它没有吃肉嘛，然后吃笋子的话就稍微要酸臭一点，但是也不存在嘛，因为做完了之后，因为这是说明着我积极向上嘛，对工作很热情嘛，所以说身上才有这种味道。如果没有这种味道的话，就说明不热情嘛。
都吃没有？
是摇不摇嘛？
不摇噻，都吃没有？
You could make paper out of these droppings. They're mostly comprised of cellulose. For now, though, that wouldn't be a very profitable enterprise. There are still too few pandas. But all that panda poop really does hide some invaluable information that might just help the animals survive.
So this is feces of giant panda. We collected this from wild place, from the Oolong Reservation Park. And then we want to study the gut microbiome of the bacteria. You can see all of these bamboos. This is not digestible, but inside this there are lots of bacteria which can help digest this. And giant panda, they need to eat all day long. Like for an adult giant panda, they need 10 kilometers. This is the first step that we extract DNA from the feces of giant panda.
First step,
Yeah,
yes.
first step. Yeah.
Then you pick up.
Yeah, I'll pick up the solution and add some other.
To compare.
Yeah.
And how long it takes this?
How long it takes from
how-
this step
when you- yes,
to my
yes.
figures?
To make a decision, yeah.
Oh, that's at least 1 year.
1 year. So
And
each day-
actually, we already did this like for 3 years. 这个弄一点出来，然后放到管子里面，放2个管子吧，一个管子不好弄啊，加点水，随便弄就弄一点那个，稍微细一点的，剪一点。When I first started this project, I hoped I can find some bacteria that can help giant panda to digest cellulose. And if I can do that, then I can extract these bacteria and supply it to their food. And that will help them
To survive.
better survive.
But all that work by dedicated scientists will be for nothing if panda love can't be encouraged in captivity. It's not as though they don't practice at all. The pandas do get amorous, but in the same lazy way they do everything else. This proud mummy gave birth to twins and has no idea that a special love potion was formulated just for her. ...2016 has been a pivotal year for the giant panda. The Chengdu Centre alone has already seen its population grow by another 23 cubs. It's taken the breeding centre more than 50 years to achieve that breakthrough.
因为大熊猫主要交配分2种，一种是本交，也就是我们说的自然交配，还有一种是人工受精，对吧？就比如说是那个有的大熊猫哈，比如说是像我们人类说的是童男童女嘛哈，就是没有经历过的哈。
我们现在在每一个馆舍，我们都会到发情期啊，或者我们都会放一些电视，放一些视频，让这些公熊猫、母熊猫都去看一下，都来学习一下、观摩一下。当时应该那个母猫在这个位置，电视放在这个位置，它就这样看。实际上我们是把这个方法，我们现在也在运用在以后的，因为这个实际上是一个我们觉得是一个很科学的。
They've tried everything to increase the population. There are even whispers of Viagra being added to the panda's feed. But every attempt seemed to go wrong. One female panda almost tore her love match to pieces. Then there was the male, who was so enraged by the female chosen for him that staff had to intervene and break up a fight.
因为它熊猫从有发情表现开始到整个结束，它就持续就是不到20天左右，所以这个期间呢，它就是说它真正的排卵期就只有1天或者2天， 所以你这个这一天，这个48个小时，那就基本上就泡汤了。他这一年就配不了种了，就怀不了孕。
对，它正常体温36度到37度，就摄氏度。然后我们现在它现在36.1了。现在我们是像这么大的猫，我们是一天测1至2次。就是正常的监控的情况下，就是1到2次。体重我们每天都会要称体重，然后监控它的增长情况。真的。我等下我要换我们孵大嘎，孵小，要称个体重嘛，刚好称孵小体重。
你扶着的嘛。边看边走，边看边走，来几位往前面走，来喜欢可以再排队边看。后面把相机、手机准备好，往前面走。这个多少钱？
你买这个买那个，费钱。就是不费钱的价格。这个包装的少。
我是美国人。
你是美国人？
我是美国人。
你是美国大兵。
All right, so my name is James Ayala. I'm an animal behavior researcher at the Chengdu Panda base. When people ask me this question, like why I chose to work here or why I chose to work with pandas, it's a complicated question. I mean, I think the animal itself is very interesting. They're a very complicated animal. It's one of the only carnivores that's a vegetarian. So their whole lifestyle is based on their diet. The panda is one of the oldest living mammals. It's been evolving for about 8 million years. Good girl. So this is so we can check her teeth for dental exam. Open. Good girl, Mung Mung. Good girl. Mung Mung, up. Good girl.
James Ayala is an indispensable expert here at the Chengdu Centre. There's no way to undertake a thorough examination without him. The pandas simply won't tolerate anybody else.
Chingsha, come on. Good boy. This is basic training, so we could control their movements and call them in and position them, and also build rapport with them. This is also useful for veterinary examination. Say he has an injury, you know, the veterinarian can check his eyes now in this position, and they can check the ears of the panda, and they don't have to worry about being scratched or bitten.
The pandas need to be examined daily. Staff almost have to go through each individual hair, because the pandas are at risk from so many dangers that the threads aren't always easy to find.
大熊猫的就是寄生虫呢，主要有外寄生虫，外寄生虫就是寄生在体表的，最常见的就是这个皮，ticks。外寄生虫呢，大概就这两，就主要是发现的就这2种，然后就是野生的和圈养的大熊猫。目前最多就是蛔虫病，就是野生的也多，然后圈养的多。我找几张照片给大家看，一个是要治疗，还有平时要加油预防。
So we reward him 2 ways. One way is with honey, and the other way is tactile. Like he likes to have the inside of his ear rubbed. So sometimes instead of just using honey, we'll touch them too, and it's good. A lot of times at this age, they like to grab your legs and try to bite you, but this way we can get them to behave pretty well. He doesn't want to bite my pants, he wants to bite my flesh. So he's trying as hard as he can to get flesh. And when he bites me too hard, I make the crying noise that the pandas make, if it hurts them when they bite too much.
Scientists believe that as a species, pandas stopped evolving as a direct result of human intervention. That's why people owe so much to this very special animal.
The panda is endangered. You know, they just took it off the endangered species list and they listed it as vulnerable, but there's still only about 1,864 pandas in the wild, right? So the work I'm doing, it is trying to improve the life for them, trying to put them back in the wild. To me, it seems a little premature that they would take them off the endangered species list because they're only just showing this population increase. And since they're very vulnerable to climate change and temperature change, that you know, it does seem a little premature for me to take them off.
It's still a mystery how pandas manage to survive on nothing but bamboo, the tallest and fastest growing grass in the world. Bamboo dies beautifully as it comes into flower, in whole groves. And it comes in cycles of 33, 66 and 120 years. That natural phenomenon causes mass deaths among the pandas, though. But the breeding centre plans around the growing cycle, so there's always plenty of shoots to feed the little ones.
I live in Washington, D.C., and there's the National Zoo, Smithsonian's National Zoo in Washington, that has had pandas since, I believe Cho and Loy gave pandas to Richard Nixon back in the 70s. And since then they've had pandas. But while the panda babies were born there, none of them survived until 2005. There was a male panda born to mother Meshong and father Tian Tian, and he survived. I was watching the relationship between the mother panda and the cub, and it just touched my heart how much the mother takes care of the baby. When Taishan was about 4 years old, he had to go back to China. And because that's part of the lease agreement, the cubs all go back to China. None of the zoos have been able to keep the newborns. And it really helped me a lot to come to China to see where he lived, where the pandas live. I volunteered, I got to feed him, I got to clean his enclosure. And I also volunteered at the Chengdu Panda base.
所以说，宁愿虽然每天都差不多，但是幸福指数蛮高的，因为看着他们每天都是不一样的。虽然我们做的东西，可能都相差不多，但是看着他们一天天长大，看着他们每一天那个表情，包括他们的心情，就觉得每天都是新的一天。
我们不想让一个生灵从此在地球上消失，让我们的后代只能在图片、视频和教科书上看到。所以说，我们不是为了复制大熊猫，是为了让这种生灵在自然界长存，和人类朝夕共处下去，不让人类在，它就在。这是大自然我们在同时遵循大自然的规则的同时，也要做到和大自然的生灵朝夕相处，因为这就是自然的法则，也是自然的根本。